Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's Daf is Pesachim Kuf Aleph. We are on Kuf Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Says the Gemara on that last word of that third line from the bottom, Oisam b'nei Adam shekitchu b'beis HaKnesses. What happens to those fellows who did Kiddush in Shul? Rashbam will explain for us. The Shliach Tzibur would make Kiddush on Friday night, on Yom Tov night, in Shul. Now, people heard that Kiddush in Shul. What happens now when they go home? Amarav yidei yain v'yotzu. They were not yotzi the bracha on yain. Although they heard the bracha, boyer priyagofen, they actually drank some wine in Shul. But then when they leave Shul and they arrive at home, the fact that there was a shinui makom, a change of location, a change of venue, that creates a hesach hadas. The fact that you're in a new environment, that creates a diversion of mind, so to speak, and is considered a new eating experience or drinking experience, which requires a new bracha. Amarav yidei yain v'yotzu. When they go home, they have to make a new bracha ber priyagofen. Yidei kiddush yotzu. However, says Rav, they were yotzei kiddush. Although they weren't eating in shul, they were going to have their suda at home, in a different location. The fact is, you do not have to have the kiddush in the same location as a suda. Rav holds, you don't need kiddush makim suda. Since he said kiddush in shul, he heard kiddush in shul, that is sufficient. Let's take a look at the Rashbam. If you count 13 lines from the bottom of the Amud, we see the words Shekitchu Beis HaKnesses. Says the Rashbam, Hu Kiddush Shemekadesh Shliach Tzibur B'Leil Shabbos V'Yavim Toivim Beis HaKnesses. This was the Kiddush which the Shliach Tzibur would make in Shul on the nights of Shabbos and Yom Tov. Says Rav, Yidei Kiddush Yotzu. They were Yotze Kiddush. Afal Pishlei Shasu, even though perhaps they didn't even drink. The Kaimel da Mekadesh Tzarach Sheyitain. Because we learn, Gemara tells us that although the Mekadesh has to make a te'imah, has to taste the wine. Imlei Tom Ela Echad Mem Yotzu Kulan Dechei Vasim. Says Rashbam, even if anybody listening there tasted the wine, that's enough, and they were all yaitz. Kedemucha be'ervin b'shilub kol ma'arvin, as the Gemara in Erevin tells us. Umir l'chatchila, says the Rashbam, tzarach sheyitmu kulam. L'chatchila, you meant to taste the wine of the kiddush. That's why by the kadeshim and shuls they try to pass around the wine. L'chatchila, everybody who was yaitz kiddush is meant to actually drink some of the wine. In any case, this is what happened. There was kiddush and shul, and somebody was tayyim. Continues the Rashbam, they were yaitze. They don't need to make kiddush again at home. According to Rav, you do not have to have kiddush taking place at the location of the suda. Therefore, even if they don't eat their suda in shul, they were yaitze kiddush. However, what does that mean? If they have some more wine at home that they're going to drink, they have to make the bracha again. They're not exempt from the bracha of Hagafen due to the fact that they heard Hagafen and they actually drank in shul. Since they left that location, so the chiddush here is, Rabbi Yehuda is going to disagree. The chiddush here is, according to Rav and Shmuel, that even if you just have a location change, even though you still intend on drinking more, so you didn't actually divert your mind, but the mere fact that you had a change of location, you're now in a new environment, it's considered a new masa achila, new masa shtia, a new experience. It's considered like hesach hadas. V'tzarach levarach, and a new bracha is required. Continues Rashi. But typically, when one makes kiddush in his home, right before his meal, he makes the bracha of kiddush, hagafen, and then would like to drink some more wine during the suda. Of course, there's no need to make a bracha again. Because the bracha recited on the wine before suda exempts the wine within the suda as well. Because it's not the case in mavarchen. Birach al yain shel fnei hamazon patar as hayayin shel achar hamazon. Umukla b'gemara, the Gemara interprets that to mean, to be referring to b'Shabbos Yom Tovim, hoyel v'adam kaveis das al yayin on Shabbos and Yom Tov, when wine drunk during the meal is a common occurrence, the bracha recited on the yayin before the meal automatically includes and incorporates any wine drunk during the meal as well. So again, getting back to Rav, he heard Kiddush in Shul, says Rav, he's Yaitze Kiddush, even when he goes home, he does not have to repeat Kiddush again. But Birchas Hayayin, if you'd like to drink more wine at home, the fact that there was a change of venue, a Shini Mokim, requires a new bracha on that yayin. Continues the Gemara on the bottom line. Ushmuel Amar Afide Kiddush Lo Yatsu. According to him, the fact that they heard Kiddush in Shul doesn't help that much, because there was no Seudah in Shul. And according to Shmuel, you need to have Kiddush b'makayim Seudah. Let's take a look at Rashbam here, on top of the Omen on Kuf Aleph. Of course, it's not really on top, that's Rashi, but down about 15 lines from the top, it says Rashbam. Afidei Kiddush Layatsu explains the Rashbam, where do we get this concept from? That Kiddush needs to be Makam Suda. He gives us two reasons. Kiddush Farshinan, Time Melikameh. As the Gemara soon will tell us, why would they not Yaitze Kiddush? Because in Kiddush El B'Makim Suda, Kiddush needs to be in the same location as the Suda, has to precede the Suda. The Suda follows Kiddush. D'chsiv v'karas l'Shabbos oinig. And this is the pasuk where we learn the concept of Suda's Shabbos from. Oinig is the Suda's Shabbos. And therefore the drasha to medrash, b'makim shata kaira l'Shabbos, v'karas l'Shabbos means the place where you call Shabbos, where you call down the Kedusha, you summon the Kedusha of Shabbos through Kiddush, Kaloi Makriya the Kiddush, Shamtei Oinig. In that same location, the Oinig should take place. The Oinig, the Suda, is meant to follow the Kiddush. Umedrashu. So according to this Pshat in the Rashbam, Kiddush needs to precede the Suda. The Suda needs to follow the Kiddush. That gives an added element of chashivas to the Suda, and that's how the Chacham will masaken the Kiddush. It's meant to set the tone for the Suda that follows. Inami, another Pshat said the Rashbam, Svari. It's a plain, simple Svar. Why? Why do we need to have the Kiddush take place b'Makim Suda? Midi'ik ba Kiddush alayayin. Since Chachamim were masaken that Kiddush is meant to take place with wine, Kiddushani l'kaman, zechrei alayayin. No minator, you don't have to have wine. Any type of mentioning of Shabbos is considered Kiddush, but midirabbanon, you meant to give it prominence. Kiddush should be al hayayin. Therefore, mistama al hayayin shebishas suda hukpa dechashiv. Rashbam says it's logical to say that when the Chacham decided to incorporate wine into Kiddush, what type of wine was needed? Not just a random drink, rather wine which is connected and identifies with a suda. It has prominence. It's a mealtime wine. Therefore, you need to have Kiddush b'makim Suda, so that the Kiddush is done with wine that's Suda related, which gives it chashivas and prominence. And these two svaris, says the Rashbam, are the basis for Shmuel's requirement of Kiddush makim Suda. Continues Rashbam, Ela en Kiddush makim Suda, v'im Kiddush le'sad. Since Kiddush needs to be makim Suda, suppose a person made Kiddush without a Suda, Ba'isei Makim, in that same place, L'yatzei Kiddush, he wasn't Yatzei Kiddush, he has to repeat that Kiddush with Makim Sud. So in conclusion, we have Rav and Shmuel. They both seem to agree that when it comes to the Birchas Hagofen, of course you have to say it again, because the Shini Makim creates that interruption, that Nesach Hadas, as the Rashbam called it, which requires a new bracha of Hagofen when he gets home. But when it comes to Kiddush, Rav says, you're Yaitze Kiddush. You don't need to have Kiddush Makim Suda. Apparently Rav holds that Kiddush is a separate entity from Suda, doesn't relate necessarily to Suda, notwithstanding the fact that there is chashivas to Kiddush Makim Suda, but Kiddush is really a separate entity. It's an independent thing. You can have Kiddush in Shul, your Suda at home. According to Shmuel, Kiddush needs to be Makim Suda, as Rashbam explained the two reasons. Continues the Gemara on top of the Yomad. According to Rav, that you Yaitze Kiddush in Shul, why would somebody have to do Kiddush again at home? To exempt his family. But of course he himself was Yaitze by listening to Kiddush from the Shamas in Shul. Ushmuel lamali l'kedusha ve'knishta. Now, according to Shmuel, conversely, according to Shmuel, you weren't Yotze in Shul, so why was he making Kiddush in Shul? Lafuki Orchim. The point was to exempt the Orchim. The Achlu, Veshasu, Veganu, Ve'knishta, who eat, drink, and sleep in the Shul. Of course, Tosfos points out that they wouldn't sleep, actually eat and sleep in the Shul, rather than the Chadorim, Shayusmuchim, Zaknesas, the annex, the rooms next to the Shul. In any case, according to Shmuel, that's the point of the Kiddush in Beis HaKnesset, to be mitzi the guests who have nowhere to go, and this is their place, this is their Makom Seudah. In fact, in Shulchan Aruch, it's brought down that they would make Kiddush in Shul. There's a shaila as to what happens when there are no Urchim. You know for a fact that there's nobody there that needs the Kiddush. Everybody's going home after davening. Shulchan Aruch says better not to make Kiddush. The Magen Avraham actually says our minhag is yes to make Kiddush. I remember growing up next door to a this old time shul where the shamas would get up after Ma'ariv on Friday night. You make Kiddush, and us kids would run up and get those little bechers of grape juice. But I don't remember that there were any urchim that really needed the Kiddush. So this is in line with Shitas Magen Avraham, that once that minhag was established that the shamas would make Kiddush in shul, the minhag was maintained when there was no really practical benefit for that Kiddush. I was actually speaking to my chavrusa today, the chaplain Rabbi Weiss, who used to be a rabbi in Binghamton. He said in his shul they discontinued the minhag because there were no orchim. So each makom has its own minhag. What you do when there are no orchim left to benefit from this Kiddush and shul. In any case, getting back to the halacha here, when there was a shini makom, all agree you have to redo the bracha. What about the Kiddush? Rav says there's no need to redo. Shmuel says there is a need to redo. Why are you going to Rav? Would you make Kiddush at home to be mighty to your family? According to Shmuel, why would you make Kiddush in shul to be mighty the Urchim? Continues the Gemara. V'az the Shmuel tamei, and Shmuel is in line with this shita. Damar Shmuel in Kiddush el makom suda. Yes, indeed, Kiddush has to be together, one continuous experience with the Su'udah. Savar. Now the Bnei Yeshiva figured you need to have the same makom. What is considered same makom? What is considered a change of location? Hani mili mebayis labayis. The Gemara figured this is only a concern when you're actually going from one house to the other. You make Kiddush in this house or in the shul, and then going to the other house. That's considered an extreme change of location, and therefore does not constitute Kiddush makom sudo. You have to redo Kiddush. But perhaps, if you're alternating between two places, two rooms within a house, two rooms or two floors, since it's all within the same structure, perhaps that's called Kiddush makom sudo. You can have Kiddush in this room and eat the sudo in the other room. So he responded to them. He said, no, even that's considered a shini makom, and according to Shmuel, the Kiddush is ineffective. And he said like this: in fact, I have first-hand knowledge. Zimnin Sagin. Many times, I was present before Shmuel, and I observed the following. He first came down from the roof, or from the second floor, down to the first floor, and then he made Kiddush. Rather than making Kiddush up on top and coming down for the Suda, apparently, even this slight change of location within the same structure is considered a shini makom, and you're not mekayim the concept of Kiddush makom suda. V'af Rav Huna savar and Kiddush makom suda. Rav Huna also concurs with this halacha that Kiddush needs to take place the same makom as the suda. How do we know? The Rav Huna Kaddish. What happened was Rav Huna made Kiddush. V'is'akrele shraga, and his lamp tripped and the flame went out. It was dark. So what did they do? Va'ayli was still before his Suda Shabbos. He needed some light. Va'ayli money. They transferred his utensils, his dishes, his kalim, lebei gnane the Rabbi to the base hachuppah of his son Rabbi, where there was a celebration going on. There was some candles there. It was all lit up. The Havashraga, there was candles there. V'kaddish, and Rav Huna, although he already made Kiddush in his place, repeated Kiddush again, V'tam Idi, and then sat down to have his meal. Al makasavar and kiddush el makom suda. Apparently, kiddush needs to take place together with the suda. Vaf Rabba savar and kiddush el makom suda. Rabba also holds of this concept. How do we know? Damar Bai. Ki avina beimar. When we spend time, we were Shabbos by our teacher, by Rabba. Abai was a Talmud of Rabba. This is what took place. Ki avin mekadosh, when he would make kiddush, and we would hear the kiddush. Amarlan, he would tell us before we would leave. We would hear kiddush and head back to our hosts. He would say, 1 second, stick around for a while. Ta'imu midi. Go and have something to eat. Dilma. Adaz Lisa Lushpiza. He took care of us. He says, I'm concerned about you. Come have a meal here. You had kiddush? Make sure to eat something. Why? Perhaps Dilma Adaz Lisa Lushpiza. Perhaps by the time you get back to your spiza, to your place of dwelling, to your host, Miss Akra Lehushraga. Perhaps your candle will have gone out. You'll come there. It's going to be pitch black. You won't be in the position to have your meal. You know, the Gemara says. The Gemara in Yuma actually says that Abaye was the one who says that a person should seek to have his meal with light, because the Gemara says you enjoy your meal better in daytime or in light. The Gemara actually says that a summa, blind man, doesn't really have much enjoyment from his food. So when you see it, it arouses your appetite and you enjoy it more. So perhaps it's very fitting that Rabbi was concerned that Abaye would find that his abode would be dark. He would skip the meal for tonight. He would prefer to push it off to tomorrow. Taisa says you can do that. You can have, if you skip the Friday night meal, you can have 3 meals tomorrow, wash 3 times tomorrow, and this way you have your 3 sudas. So perhaps you'll go back home. By the time you get there, it'll be dark. And you'll choose not to have your meal tonight. And you won't have your kiddush in that place, in the Beis Achila. And even if you choose just to go to sleep without a meal, that's fine. But what happens to kiddush? You were not yotze kiddush. The kiddush that you heard over here, the kiddush that I said, and you were yotze, you weren't really yotze. The ain't kiddush al makam suda. So apparently Rabbi also holds that this concept that kiddush only works in makam suda. Therefore he told him, look, sit down to have something to eat. Have your suda here. In which case your kiddush will be related to that suda. You'll be yotze kiddush just in case you get home and things won't work out for you. Interesting that Tosfos is medayik. Tosfos says that Ti'imu Midui actually means Ti'imas Lechem. And it brings a raya from the Gemara Shavuos that for Kiddush B'Mokim Suda you need to have a true meal, a Sudas Lechem. And he says that even if you say that Mezonis would work for a Shabbos Suda, that's only for Suda Shlishis, but not for the night time or daytime meal, standard meals. And he says because why? Because Shem Ikar Kavod Shabbos. Because the 2 main meals, Friday and morning, is the Ikar Sudas. Olden days only had 2 meals a day. They didn't have breakfast, lunch, and supper. 2 meals a day, 1 night, 1 day. So the night and day are the Ikar Kavod Shabbos, the main primary Sudas of Shabbos, which require true lechem, a true Suda. Mezonis can only work for Suda Shlishis. Therefore, says Tosfos, when it comes to the halacha, that Kiddush needs to be Makam Suda, the Kiddush needs to be followed with a Ti'imas Lechem Dafka. Now, Loch Lamaisa, actually, the other Shittas disagree. They hold that even the Mezonis can work for Kiddush Makam Suda. And the minhag ha'olam is to be mekel. We see the Kiddush and Shul, people make Kiddush and they have the Mezonis to be Mekayim Kiddush Makam Suda. But I actually noticed, I did notice some people are machmer, like these Shittas, that even for Kiddush Makam Suda, you need to have a true Suda, Sudas Lechem. But I saw an interesting thing today that although some people are mekel, the minhag ha'olam is to be mekel, but you'll find that some people, when they come back home, will make Kiddush again in advance of their Sudas Lechem. This way, they're Mekayim Shittas HaTosfos, that their Suda will precede a true, that their Kiddush will precede a true Suda of Sudas Lechem. In the case, bringing it back to the Gemara, Abai tells us that according to Rabba as well, Kiddush needs to be Makam Suda. So we have Shmuel, we have Rav Huna, we have Rabba. In fact, Tosfos earlier tells us that the halacha l'maisa is that Kiddush is only effective in Mokim Suda. Now he also points out that if it's in the same room, we call it mipina lapina. You make kiddush in one side of the room and you have the student on the other side, that's also okay. That's also fine. That comes to use on Shabbos Hagadol. Sometimes you make kiddush in one corner and the student in the other corner of the room where you have your protection from the crumbs or whatever. So that would be okay because it's really both the same room. The Gemara is only speaking about changing rooms or changing buildings. But within the same room, that would be fine. In any case, we see that Shmuel, Rav Huna, and Rabba all agree that Ein Kiddush El B'Makim Suda. Asks the Gemara, Eini, is that so? That Rabba holds of this halacha. Va'amar Rab Abaye, didn't Abaye tell us? Kol Mili Demar, Mar is again his master, his Rebbe Rabba. In all his ways, in all his practices, have a Ovid Kirab. He would follow Rav's opinion. Now, what does Rav hold? You don't have to have Kiddush b'Malkim Suda. You can be Yotze Kiddush and short, eat at home. So Abaye says that Rabba would follow Rav Shita in all matters. Levar Mahani Tlas Ovid Kishmuel, except for the following things which he would follow Shmuel. One was matirin beged lebeged. Suppose you go and you buy a beged for your tzitzis without the strings attached, and you want to transfer the tzitzis strings from your old beged to the new beged. Shmuel says you can do it. It's not considered a neglect, a bezoyin on the former beged. You're transferring it to the new beged, as Tosha says, that you want to use for the mitzvah. That's okay. Umadlika b'ner l'ner. You could transfer a flame from one Chanukah lich to the other. You can do it directly. That's not considered a bezayin. That's okay. When we follow Reb Shimon's shita when it comes to dragging something on Shabbos, dragging something over earth, and even though there's a concern about creating a charitz, a furrow, which is a melach of cherish, the Sandya Reb Shimon Omer Geirid Adam Mita Kise V'Safsel. One may drag a bed, a chair, a bench on earth b'Shabbos, provided he has no kavan, no intent to create a charitz. Shimon holds davar she'en miskaven as mutter, and Rabba followed Shmuel Shita when it comes to these three items. Okay, apparently when it comes to everything else, he followed Rav. Rav holds you don't need kiddush b'malkim seuda. So how could Abaye tell us that? Yeah, Rabba was makbid on Kiddush Makim Suda. Says the Gemara, Kechumrei de Rav v'Avid. When we say that Rabba followed Rav in all areas, it was regarding his chumres. He was machmer like Rav. All over, except for these three cases where he was maker like Shmuel. But Kikulei de Rav v'Avid. But he wouldn't necessarily follow the kules, the leniencies of Rav, such as that you don't need Kiddush Makim Suda. So at this point in the Gemara, we have Kiddush and Shul. He hears Kiddush there, but then he goes home. Both Rav and Shmuel agree, if you want to drink some wine at home, it was a Shini Makim, which creates Hesach Hadas, which necessitates a new bracha on wine. When it comes to Kiddush, Rav says, you're Yaitse Kiddush. Even if it was not Makim Suda, Kiddush is independent of the Suda. Shmuel says, Ein Kiddush al Makim Suda. You have to have Kiddush again at home. And the Suda immediately following that Kiddush. Continues the Gemara. For Rabbi Yehuda Amar, here comes a Kiddush. Af Yidayayin Nami Yatsu. These fellows who heard Kiddush and Shul, and then they went home to drink more wine, they don't have to make Birchas Hayayin. They were Yaitse with the Bari Prekaf and Shul. Rashbam explains, because he wasn't Masiach Das. He's walking home and he knows he's going to have some more wine at home. Despite the fact that there was a change of venue, a change of location, that doesn't create a new drinking experience. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's considered one continuous drinking experience and does not require a new bracha on the wine. V'az Rabbi Yehuda Tameh, Rabbi Yehuda follows his sheet, Rab Chanan, Bar Abaye, Omar Rabbi Pedas, Omar Rabbi Yehuda, Echad Shini Yain. Whether he changed the wine, he got a new bottle of wine, that doesn't need a new bracha. Of course, Rashbam and Tosis point out you need to have a new bracha on occasion of the new wine, bracha tov hamet. But you don't have to make a new bar pri hagafen just because a new bottle of wine or barrel of wine was delivered to the table. Ve'echad shinu makom ein tzorach levarach. Likewise, if you change locations in the middle, there's no need to make a new bracha. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, not only with a Yetzi Kiddush and Shul, he follows Rav Shita, Kiddush and Suda, two independent entities. But even when it comes to the bracha on the yain, there's no need to repeat that again. Meisei, on a Kashmar Bryce, Rabbi Yehuda, Shini Makom Tzorach Levarach. Shini yain ain't Tzorach Levarach. True, you have a different type of wine which arrives at your table, you don't need to make a new bracha on hagafen because you're still at the same location. But the Shini Makom, if you find yourself in a new house, Tzorach Levarach, you make a new bracha. Tiyufta Rabbi Yehuda, Tiyufta. Indeed, this is refutation on Rabbi Yehuda. Continues the Gemara, Yosef Rav Adi bar Avin, Kameid Rav Chizd. Rav Idi bar Avin was sitting in front of Rav Chizd. V'Yosef Rav Chizd v'ka'ama meshmed Rav Huna. Rav Chizd was sitting and saying over the halacha in the name of Rav Huna. Ha the Amris, Shinu Makayim Tzorach Levarech. This that we say. If a person has a change of venue, he says his bracha here and continues eating elsewhere, you need to make a new bracha. That's only said when he changes locations, for real. He said his bracha in this room, and he resumes eating in the next room. That's called a true change of location. If he's simply changing from one side of the room to the other, there's a girsa that says, Tesis brings a girsa, mipina lapina, from one corner of the room to the other. That's not considered a significant change of location, and there's no need to repeat your bracha. Amalei Rav Idi bar Avin. He was sitting in front of Chizd and he overheard this halacha, and he said to him, Hachi tanin alei. We actually learned this very halacha, b'masnisa, the Bei Rav Hinak, in the Brisa taught in the Beis Medrash Rav Hinak. V'amrilei, some say it was masnisa, the Bei Bar Hinak, in the Brisa taught in the Beis Medrash of Bar Hinak, Kava Seich. Exactly as you said, simply changing from one side of the room to the other, that's not considered a significant relocation, does not require a new bracha. So what was Rav Huna's point? Rav Chizd was quoting Rav Huna, changing from one side of the room to the other is not considered shini makom, no new bracha is required. He was simply trying to teach us something taught in a brisa. What's the chiddush? Masnisa kamashmalon? Rav Huna masnisa l'shmielei. He didn't hear the brisa. Rashbam explains that Amiroim very often did not hear a brisa. It wasn't something which was necessarily commonly known, and therefore, he taught the halacha, although we actually found it stated in the brisa as well. So that was the first story. That shini makom is referring to a true shini makom, a real drastic change of location. But if it's just one side of the room to the other, that's not considered. V'su Yosef Rav Chizda. Again, Rav Chizda was sitting. V'ka'ama mishmeid nafshei. This time he was saying over his own original halacha. Ha the amris shini makom tzorach levarach. This is what we say. That when there's a shini makom, a new bracha is required. Lo yamaran, that's only said by very specific foods. Ela b'dvorim she'ein tu'unin bracha lacharein b'mkaiman. It only refers to things like ha'etz, ha'adama, shahakol, which don't necessarily require that their bracha achroina be said at the original location, at the location of the achila. For instance, a person makes shahakal here, walks outside, he can make his bar nefashis outside. There's no need to return to the original location. Aval dvorim ha'tu'unim bracha achrein b'mkaiman. But when it comes to more chashuva foods, like shivas haminim, in which case you have to go back to your original makom achila to make your bracha achrein. These are foods of significance. These are prominent ma'achalim. When you eat mezainis, you've established your place yourself in this makom. This becomes your makom achila. It's a chashuva eating experience, and the bracha achrein as well has to be recited in this makom. To walk outside, to come back to make the bracha achrein. In this case, says Rav Chizda, ein tzorach levarach. If you made a mezainis, and you started eating here. You relocated to another house. You resumed eating the mezainis. You don't have to make a new bracha. Why? My time? The answer is Lekiva Kama Hadar. Because he is resuming his initial kriyas. What does that mean? Since you have to come back here in any case, you're still tied to your original location. Although he went out for a walk, he has to come back. He has to make the bracha achrona in the original location, at the makom achila where he initiated the achila. So although he relocated to another place, since he's still going to come back, he's on his way back. He's still within that. He's still taking part in that original eating experience. It's not considered a termination, a hefsek of that initial achila, because he's still coming back to make his bracha achrona. So wherever he is at the moment, we consider it to be part and parcel of that same original eating experience. So Rabbi Chizda tells us a chiddush. When it comes to the halacha that shini makom requires a new bracha, that's only by ha'etz, hadam shahakal, things that don't need necessarily to have their bracha achrona said at the makom achila, at the original makom achila. So he made ha'etz here, he ate something, and walked down to a different place. Since he doesn't really have to come back, he can do his bracha achrona elsewhere, then we say the original achila was hufsak, was interrupted. When he continues eating elsewhere, it's a new ma'aseh achila. It's a new eating experience, a new bracha is required. But in the case where he has to come back to make his bracha achrona, it's considered as though he's still taking part in that eating experience, and anything that he eats, even elsewhere, does not need a new bracha rishon. That's Rav Chizda's chiddush. Let's take a look at the Rashbam inside, who explains this for us. If you take a look at the Rashbam, we have the narrow lines on top, then it widens a bit. So you drop down to the fourth wider line, not only on the bottom, but the medium wide lines. The fourth wide line, you'll see the words b'devarim she'enan tu'unim bracha achrona memkayim. It says Rav Chizda, only when it comes to these items, kegoin mayim, peiros, she'enan tu'unim bracha chashuv v'nei atzma. It's interesting, the Rashbam explains the difference for us. Why is it so that when it comes to peiros, mayim, you don't have to make the bracha achrona in their original location? Rashbam explains that these things are not important enough food items. Unlike the Shivas Amina, which have added prominence, mayim, peiros don't need their own specific bracha. Ela burden versus rabbis. It's a general bracha. It's sort of a generic bracha for all these items. This indicates that the achila of these things doesn't really have the same importance. It's not the same level achila as a burden in a mezainis, as a hamoitzi. You see from the bracha achrona that the achila doesn't really carry such great importance. And that's why a general bracha achrona can be applied to peiros, to yerakos, to mayim equally. And being that that's the case, that leads us to the next halach. Hilchach ein tzorich levarach memkayim achrayim. That's why, says Rashbam, that is the reason why you don't have to necessarily come back to do the bracha achrona here. It's a good idea to do so before you leave, so you keep it in mind. But if a person finds himself in a different place, oops, he forgot to make a bracha achrona, you can do the burden first where he is. Because we're not speaking about things which connect to their location. They're snacks. They don't have the same level, the same eating experience as the mezainis, as the hamaitzi, and therefore the bracha achrona can be said anywhere. The achila doesn't necessarily relate, doesn't necessarily connect to the place where they were actually eaten. That seems to be the point of the Rashbam. In any case, when it comes to these types of foods item, therefore says Rav Chizda, since he doesn't necessarily have to come back to the bracha achrona here, the assumption is when he got up, left, went to a different place. The fact that he got up and left, that's considered a conclusion to the Suda. His eating experience has just terminated, was just interrupted. It's finished. It's done. And when he continues eating elsewhere, it's considered a new suda, a new eating experience. And that's why it's to make a new bracha when he gets to the new location. Avol, says the Rashbam, these items which require that their bracha achrona be said at the initial makom achila, if they come back to do the bracha achrona. And the Rashbam points out it's a bracha chashuva b'fnei atzmon. It's a unique and specific bracha, specific to this food. Ala michya, ala eitz, brachas hamazon. What does that show you? It shows that these things have prominence. They're considered eating at a higher level. It's a more prominent eating experience. And that relates to its makom. I'm eating here. I'm establishing that achila right here. And that's why you have to come back here to make the bracha achrona. Tzrichim imkaimen, going shivas haminim, the ispu bracha achas mein sholish. Hoiv labich achrein, v'alach makim achar. Lisoid. Says Rashbam, since you have to come back to do the bracha, if you happen to leave and go elsewhere, al das kvius harishayin halach. Levorich bracha achas hashtein. Just because he left, it's temporarily, he has to come back. His mindset is, I'm going to eventually go back and make the bracha achrona on everything that I ate. And based on this svara, there's no need to make a bracha before he continues eating at the new location, because it's all one continuous eating experience. Says Rashbam, we conclude from this, the Mishnah there speaks about a person ate and forgot to make a bracha achrona, finds himself in a different location. We learn from there that l'chatchila you meant to make a bracha right here and now before you leave. B'shivas haminin mayri. It's only referring to shivas haminim. The ikka ke'en brachas hamazon bracha harichta v'chashivus amein shalish. It only refers to the brachas hamazon or shivas haminim, which have a bracha achas mein shalish, a long bracha which is really an abridged version of brachas hamazon. It's a bracha chashuva. These things are achilos chashuvos, which relate to their makom, and the bracha on them has to be recited at the makom achil. So when it comes to these items, since he's going back home, anything that transpires, even at the new location, relates back to the original makom achila, and is considered one continuous achila. Lekivei kamahadar kulaim aldasu the rishanu oichel. The achila is with the mindset that it's connecting to the previous achila. It's merely a conclusion of the initial masa achila, and therefore, says Rav Chizda, there's no need to make a new bracha. Let's go back to the Gemara. Says Rav Chizda's chiddush, although shini makom necessitates a new bracha at the new location, but that's only when it comes to eitz, hadama, shahakal, what we consider as a new masa achila. When it comes to mezainos or shivas haminim, brachas hamazon, since you need to go back home to make that bracha, anything that happens along the way is considered part of the same experience, and therefore no new bracha is required. Rav Sheshis Amar, no, whether these types of foods or this type of food, it doesn't matter. You need to make a new bracha if there was a shinui in makom. So at this point in the Gemara we had Rabbi Yehuda who said that a shinui makom doesn't need a new bracha. The Gemara refuted the Gemara Estakashma Braisa and said to Rabbi Yehuda that halacha follows the other shittas, Rav, Shmuel, Rav Chizda, Rav Sheshis, that a shinui makom is mechayiv a new bracha. However, said the Gemara, we have some limitations. A shinui makom is only if it was a real shinui makom. He really relocated, but if it's just two sides of the same room, that's not called a shinui makom. Rav Chizda tells us a chiddush. It only applies to food items that don't need a bracha chashuva and don't relate to their makom, in which case you can make the bracha anywhere, bracha achrona anywhere, and therefore if he leaves this place and he continues eating elsewhere, it's considered a new ma'as achila and a bracha is required. But if we're speaking about things that require returning to make the bracha achrona, anything that happens until he comes back is considered one continuous mas achila, and no new bracha is required. If Sheshes disagrees, he says, whether we're speaking of Eitz, Adam, Shahakal, Mezayin, it doesn't matter. You change your location, a new bracha is required. Meisvei says the Gemara, we have a kasha on Rav Chizah from our Bryce. B'nei Chabura shayu musubin lishtais. We have this group of fellows sitting and drinking, actually reclining, musubin. And v'akru raglein, they lifted themselves up, they uprooted themselves from this place. Lotzeis likras chasan likras kala. They heard a wedding outside, they went out to Mekayim the Simcha, mitzvah Simcha Tas Mekala. Kshein yoitzin ein tunin bracha mafrei. On the way out, they don't have to make a bracha achrona. Kshein chayzrin, likewise, when they return, ein tunin bracha lachatchila. There's no need for them to make a bracha before they continue their meal. But medvel mamur, when is this said? When do we say that their suda was not interrupted by the fact that they left the area? That's only sheinichu sham zoken echayla. They left somebody behind. A zoken, a chayla, who was unfit to go dance at a chas mekal, left somebody behind. He holds on to the suda status, even for them as well. Since there's somebody left behind at the table, the fact that they left is not considered a termination of that suda experience, and they can come back and resume their meal without any bracha concern. But suppose there was nobody left behind. Everybody went out to the chas and the kal. What happens now? When they leave, on the way out, have to make a bracha mafreya, bracha achrona. When they come back, to a bracha lachatchila, to make a new bracha before they continue eating. So these are the words of the Bryce. Let's analyze what type of meal, what type of achila were they involved in? Mediktana okru ragleim. The fact that the Bryce describes them as okru ragleim, they uprooted themselves. Apparently they were well established in their location. What were they partaking in? Something which relates to the place. Something which needs a bracha achrona in this makkah. Mechlal, apparently, the bedvarim ha'tu'unin bracha la'achrein b'mkayim askina. They were engaged in drinking wine, which is one of the Shivas Hamina, which needs a bracha achrona in its place, in the makkah achila. Still in all, what does the Brisa say? Why, when they left and returned, don't they need a bracha? It's only because they left somebody behind who maintained the suda for them. It's only because they left the zoken achayla behind. Who do we say that kshein yoitzin, when they leave, ein tuna bracha lafreya, they don't have to make a bracha achrona? Or kshein chayzer, when they return, ein tuna bracha lafreya, they don't have to make a bracha. It's only because they left somebody behind. But apparently, if nobody, not a zoken or a chayla, were left behind, that's considered an interruption of their eating experience. Kshein yoitzin, in that case, when they leave, to an bracha lamafrei, they have to make a bracha achrona. Ukeshen chayz, when they come back, to an bracha lachatchil, they have to make another bracha before they continue. Kashler of Chizda. Here we have a kashler of Chizda. We're speaking about a group engaged in drinking wine, something which is ton bracha bim kaimai. They're well established right here. They have to come back to make the bracha achrona. Still and all, what does the Brisa say? The only way they can avoid this issue, they can sidestep the bracha issue, is they leave somebody behind who will hold on to the suda experience, suda status for them. But otherwise, nobody left behind. They all ran out to the chas and they come back. A new bracha is required. There's a kasha of Chizd. Amar Nachman bar Yitzchak. Man Tana Kiris Rabbi Yehuda. Who is the author of this Brisa? It's not the Rabbanon. The Rabbanon hold exactly as Rav Chizda said. This is Rabbi Yehuda's shita, who holds that even when you are oiker, meaning you are engaged in a meaningful Suda experience, which requires a bracha right here, still Rabbi Yehuda says, if you leave the Makayim, you will have to make another bracha. The only way you can avoid it is by leaving the zaken or chayla behind, in which case the eating experience maintains itself, When you come back, you simply pick up from where you left off. So it's Rabbi Yehuda's shita, who doesn't differentiate between different types of food items. But according to the Rabbanan, the shittas Rabbanan, which Rav Chizda follows, there is a difference between the two. When it comes to ha'etz, hadam, shakal, you leave, you have to start fresh. When it comes to something that has more significance, more chashivas, in that case, the meal is maintained. Even if you leave, you come back and pick up from where you left off. Okay, let's make a quick chazor of today's daf. A very simple daf today. We have two concepts. First, Kiddush Mokem Suda. Rav says, Kiddush and Suda are two independent entities. You hear Kiddush and Shul, that's okay, you're Yaitse, even though you have your Suda at home. Shmuel maintains that Ein Kiddush El Mokem Suda. Suda is very much related to the Kiddush experience. Rashbam gave two reasons, either B'mokem Shata Koyer L'Shabbos, Shamtei Oineg, that the Oineg Shabbos, the Suda of Shabbos, needs to follow the Kiddush. That gives it the Suda Shabbos Chashivas, because it follows the Kiddush, which sets the tone. According to the second shot in the Rashbam, it's a svara. Being that Kiddush is meant to be done on with wine which is Suda related, has Chashivas, and that's appropriate for the Yain of Kiddush. The Gemara brought that Rav Huna, Rabbah, all hold the same, that Kiddush needs to be Mokem Suda. And Tosfos brings that, Rashbam brings as well, that the halacha l'maisa is Ein Kiddush or Mokem Suda. But, says the Rashbam, interesting, that a person can make Kiddush outside his house. He says, I'm a Kaddish la'acherim chutz l'beis, that's okay. Even if you yourself are not going to be Yaitse. You're simply doing it on account of this fellow in the nursing home, that's okay. Even though you're not going to eat, but he's going to eat, he's Yaitse Kiddush, Mokem Suda. And you, when you go home, you make Kiddush again, b'Mokem Suda. The second topic was Shini Mokem. Make a bracha in this place and change locations. Of course, when we speak about changing locations, when it comes to this halach as well as the halach of Kiddush Mokem Suda, it needs to be a true change of locations. From house to house, room to room, but not within the same room. So in any case, when it comes to change of locations pertaining to any typical bracha, any hagafen, any eitz, any shahakal, both Rav and Shmuel hold a Shini Mokem requires a new bracha. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees, and the Gemara says, Tiyuf to the Rabbi Yehuda, we don't pass like Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Chizda told us two things. A Shini Mokem is only if it's a true change of venue, but not within the same room. And the second chiddush was, it only applies to the food items that don't require their bracha achrona to be recited at the original Mokem Achila. But if we're speaking about things that bracha achrona needs to be said at the Mokem Achila, in which case, even if you leave to a different place, you have to come back. It says Rav Chizda, Svar lekiva kamahadar, anything that's going to happen between now and then is considered one continuous kavi, is one continuous eating experience, because you know you're going to have to come back. And therefore, there's no need to make a new bracha. Rav Sheshes disagrees. He says, either way, echad zeh v'echad zeh, a new bracha is required. The Gemara attempted to bring a kasha of chiddush from a brisa, which seemed to tell us that even when it comes to wine drinking, which is certainly something which needs a bracha b'mkaimai, a shini mokem would have an effect on it. The Gemara concluded, yeah, that's shittas Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that even when it comes to wine or those types of items, a shini mokem affects it, and a new bracha is required. But according to shittas Rabbanan, that's not so. And Rav Chizda is following the Rabbanan, who hold, although shini mokem requires a new bracha, but now when it comes to items of chashivas, where in any case you head back to the original location to make your bracha achrona. Be well and much hatzlacha.